Hi, I'm LeStrange with this Prophesy series. You know, the prophetic gift is so important, and the enemy loves to cut off the prophetic gift, prophetic ministry. As I travel and I see churches around the nations, I see where there's been wounds because of prophetic ministry not being properly understood and properly administrated. And one thing that we've got to understand is the prophetic ministry is like the tip of the spear. It's like the tip of the arrow. You know, the Lord has arrows of deliverance for regions. He has arrows of transformation for regions, and prophetic ministry is the tip of that arrow. There's an interesting scripture in 2 Kings 13:15 through 17. It says, Elijah said unto him, Take the bow and the arrows. And he took of him the bow and the arrows. And he said to the king of Israel, listen to the prophet speaking to the king of Israel, Put your hand upon the bow. And he put his hand upon it, and Elijah put his hands on the king's hands, and he said, Open the window eastward. And he opened it. Then Elisha said, Shoot, and he shot. And he said, The arrow of the Lord's deliverance, and the arrow of deliverance from Syria, for thou shalt smite the Syrians at Aphek until thou have consumed them. You know, Elisha released a prophetic word to the king. He said, I want you to take the arrows and shoot strategically the arrows of the Lord's deliverance and set the people free. Elijah released a prophetic word that empowered the arrow of deliverance. I believe there are arrows of deliverance in regions, arrows of deliverance in families that need to be shot and propelled forward. And the prophetic ministry is at the very tip of that spear. It's interesting, in Ephesians 2:20, it said that the church is built upon two foundational gifts, the apostle and the prophet. I remember a number of years ago that I was going through a real time of crisis. I was in Bible college. I was young in the Lord, young in ministry, and the devil was attacking me with a fierce spiritual attack. I went to a service one night, and a woman of God began to prophesy over me. And as she prophesied over me, the arrow of the Lord's deliverance came to me and turned that around. It broke off of me, and I was set free. There are attacks against churches. There are attacks against families. There are attacks against regions, and the prophetic ministry is the tip of the arrow. I believe the arrow of the Lord's deliverance is coming forth in this hour in regions, in nations, in families, in ministries, but we need a prophetic sensitivity. In this word of the Lord I read to you, Elijah released this word, and it provided direction for the king. Prophetic words often provide direction. It's like the flashlight shining upon the pathway and illuminating that. The prophetic ministry can be the very tip of the arrow that cuts through the assignments of the enemy, that breaks bondages and releases spiritual freedom. You know, prophets by nature are spiritual warriors assigned to battle. They expose the hidden agendas and plans of the enemy. So I pray today that the prophetic ministry arises in the earth bold and strong, unafraid of religious spirits, unafraid of criticism, and that the arrow of the Lord's deliverance is empowered today through the prophetic ministry. To learn more about the prophetic ministry, I encourage you to get my new book, Releasing the Prophetic. You can go to our website at ryanlestrange.com, or you can find it wherever books are sold.